around. My name is Mikola, and I'm presenting tomorrow. But I whipped up something in the last 3 hours. Was anyone here at the San Francisco conference last year? So you might know what I'm about to do. And if you're expecting it to be a lightning talk about lightning, no, you're going to be mistaken. So I'm actually going to be presenting on cryptographic lexical analysis for open auth protocols. We're going to combine this with some UML diagrams, some agile design patterns, because that's in this year, and this is Portland's break of town. We're also going to obviously do this in the Silex micro framework. I tried to use YOLO, but it was a little too unstable for me. Unfortunately, there's a gong, as there always is, so we're just going to have to shorten this, and I'm going to present on clouds. So clouds are, how do we put it? Clouds show up everywhere, really. You just have to look up in the sky. They like to photobomb a lot of landscape photography. They're in New York. They're also obviously international. It's like lightning. Typically, where you'll find lightning, you'll typically find clouds because they're a harbinger of lightning. And additionally, they're also in Portland. Unfortunately, in Portland, the clouds are a little wet, so you might want to bring an umbrella. And additionally, in San Francisco, they have clouds. They actually built bridges over the clouds. I'm kidding, that's just fog. Whereas lightning has a lot of problems with freedom, clouds are actually very supportive of freedom. And additionally, beyond that, they also have quite a big history, so they go back in time. So the first topic that I want to cover, we are going to get into some technical points here. I want to talk about the residential implications of clouds. So historically, clouds have been a common place where you'll find deities, and they're typically not alone. They're also surrounded by cherubs. But also, if we go into the area of science fiction, in the planet Bespin in Star Wars, they have the Cloud City, which is actually in clouds. And they also have transportation up there to get in and out of it. Additionally, back in Chrono Trigger, they had Cloud City as well. And in real life, though, we think these are all fantasy things. Actually, in Dubai, they're actually building in the clouds as well. You could ask Hugo about this. He recently traveled there last month. And if you're wondering where Hugo's traveling next, just a little shout out. You go to hugo.jmikola.com. We track his travels there. So additionally, for dumbing it down a little bit, there's basic architecture that we see cloud designs showing up as well. And continuing on, we have clouds as a transportation medium. So I looked for cloud cars on Google image search, and this is all I could find. I have no idea what this is. But it reminded me of the Care Bears. And you're thinking, well, this is also very fancy, but this is completely legitimate. It's actually driving around like this. And then if we want to take the cars out and go a little greener, we have the Latuku character from Mario Brothers, who's all very nice and everything. So the part that you're actually waiting for is the technical discussion here. So how can we have better clouds via cloud computing? So if we go back, no, this is too far back. Let's go back to the PlayStation. And if we have the cloud character here, this is pretty much circa mid-90s hardware. But with the benefit of cloud computing and a lot of cache and Amazon Web Services, thank you to Jeremy and Michael for this, we can get some better rendering. And this is great if you have a high-resolution display. Additionally, if we add Bitcoin to the mix, we can kind of create this perpetual loop where we're paying for the resources that we're using. Fortunately, this could also crash the economy, so you got to be a little careful about that. If you're playing Buzzword Bingo, this is a tag cloud, so you just mark off your board, you probably want to write it. Just as we discussed the caveats of cloud computing, we want to do this responsibly. So clouds versus cloud computing. So this is a cloud. This is actually a hurricane. I'm not going to bore you with the scientific details, but suffice it to say, this is a pretty serious cloud. And it's big enough that you can actually see it from space. Now, when combined with web Amazon services, it typically results in a loss of internet. So things you basically don't want to do is, you don't want to put your eggs in one basket, and you also want to respect the power of some clouds. Some clouds can be dangerous. So lastly, if you're operating in the cloud, what are the different operating systems that we're using? So Oracle likes to tout the Solaris operating system as the first cloud operating system. But does anyone know what the actual first cloud operating system was? Windows 95. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, then they introduced Internet Explorer, and that had some graphical bugs that the CSS designers of web vision will tell you. Moving right on, the nutritional value of clouds. So at lunch you might have had some cookies, so cloud cookies can be quite tasty. Additionally, clouds is actually a very low-fat food. This is actually eating a cloud in reverse. So it's approximately 0 nutrition facts, which is great because it leaves room for hot dogs. And lastly, developing with clouds, the final technical takeaway before the gong rings here. If you actually go into PHP, there's actually an extension under the function references for nature extensions, and then there's the weather functions. So there's actually a random cloud function here, and that allows us, I'm not going to get into the lightning bit, but we can actually generate some lightning here as well. If you're wondering what this looks like, I whipped out the Facebook PHP shell, and it basically generates random clouds. So I encourage you to go look at your PHP.NET documentation later. This is currently, earlier I was working, I talked with Igor, I'm going to be working on a pull request for the YOLO framework. So you'll find this soon there. That's pretty fantastic, and I'll just leave you, we're going to have karaoke tomorrow night after the speaker drinks at the Jupiter. So this is going to be across the river a little bit into Chinatown, so please come out for that. Thank you. Great.